going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, we are now 1 day out from the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing, which will be tomorrow night. Now, one of the guys that I'm the most excited to see, aside from Nick Walker, obviously, is Martin Fitzwater, who just won the New York Pro. And I feel like with Martin, even though we saw him compete in the Arnold Classic UK and the Texas Pro a couple years ago, this new and improved version of Martin that won the Detroit Pro, beating Good Vito, I feel like is a little bit untested against some of these top-level guys because there wasn't that many people that showed up for the Detroit Pro. And this new and improved version of Martin, and I think he is significantly better than he was the last time we saw him on stage, I feel like could hang with some of these guys. And I'm excited to see, obviously he's competing in the New York Pro with Nick Walker, but we got Hunter in this lineup, and by lineup I mean guest posing, Samson, Derek, Nick, Andrew Jacked, Urs Kalsinski, I guess, will be posing with the open bodybuilders. Big Ramy is out, and Shabaan is out, but we'll talk about that again later in this video. But with Martin, I feel like this new and improved version of his physique, like I said, is much more competitive with these top-level guys, and seeing him a week out from a show against guys like Hunter and Samson and Andrew and Derek, who are not actively prepping for a show. Nick is, but like I said, Hunter, Samson, Derek, Andrew, they're not. So I feel like a 1 week out, peak week version of Martin's new and improved physique. I'm excited to see how that looks next to these top-level guys on stage. Samson Dauda is an Arnold Classic champion. Derek Lunsford is a Mr. Olympia. Andrew Jacked is an Arnold Classic UK champion. Hunter Labrada is at 300 pounds right now. And looking at Martin in this video, he looks very impressive, and I'm even more curious to see how he does at the New York Pro against the likes of Nick Walker, Tonio, Burton, etc. Because the more that I've rewatched the footage from the Detroit show, Martin is really impressive. And Good Vito is really impressive too. But Martin really surprised me with how good he really looked. And I'm kind of starting to feel, the more that I watch that footage from the Detroit show, it might be Martin and Nick for the New York Pro title. Because the reason that Martin and Vito, that decision was so close, I feel like was only conditioning. Martin is extremely complete, so if he's ripped and he's in really good condition at the New York Pro, he has like no really weak body parts. His frame is very filled out. He's got that very round, full 3D look. He's very complete. And if he's ripped to the bone, I think he's going to be really hard to beat. So I think this guest posing in Pittsburgh tomorrow is going to be very telling to see how Martin looks next to these guys. And he's a shorter guy, but he's not small. I feel like he's bigger than a guy like Tonio. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, we got another physique update from Nick Walker, just 1 day out from taking the stage tomorrow, showing off his quads. And as I've said over the past couple weeks, I think Nick's quads are looking a lot better at this stage in his prep than they were earlier on. I know that's a big focal point for him. That's been a big concern of a lot of the fans, especially after he lost the Arnold Classic to Samson Dauda. And I think it's been a big concern, especially since he injured his hamstring, people wondering, is he going to be able to train his legs the same way he did before while training around that injury? And we did see some physique updates where the quads, to me, just didn't match the upper body. They look a lot more separated here, and we're not going to know for sure until we actually see him on stage, and we will see him on stage tomorrow. But in this picture, the quad that he's showing is the quad, I believe, of the injured leg. So that's a good sign. And just like how I said I'm excited to see Martin in this guest posing lineup, Nick as well. Because we've talked about Nick as being, and Nick talks about it a lot too, as being a potential Mr. Olympia winner. That's been a kind of very polarizing topic. Some fans see it, some fans don't. Nick certainly sees it. And to see him ripped to the bone, as he should be at 1 week out from the New York Pro at this Pittsburgh show, next to Derek, who won't be ripped to the bone, next to Samson, Andrew, Hunter, who I would expect not to be ripped to the bone. I think it'll be interesting to see that comparison and for the judges to see size-wise, because Derek right now is probably at the biggest we've ever seen him. And so to see him at his biggest next to a freak like Nick at close to his leanest, I think will be very interesting to see that side by side. And again, it's a shame that we're not going to be able to get to see Big Ramy here. But one guy that we will see still make an appearance that was one of the last-minute additions to the guest posing roster, Shabaan. I'm very, very impressed with this. So the last video that I did, we talked about Mo. He was in the hospital. His organs were failing. He had some kind of rare infection. So he had to obviously pull out from the guest posing part of the show. But now he's out of the hospital, and even though he won't be guest posing, which is a wise move, he's still going to show up at the Pittsburgh, at the show itself, as a spectator and to meet fans, which I think is extremely impressive and I think is really commendable. Because like we're saying, how disappointing it is that Ramy won't be there for whatever reason, and I explained in that last video, I do think there are probably some valid excuses and obstacles that are preventing Ramy from being there. But I think this is really impressive that Shabaan, after just being in the hospital for over a week, his body was shutting down. He almost died. He's still going to be at least trying to honor his commitment. Even if he can't pose, he will attend. And I'm really impressed by that. So my hat is off to Shabaan. Really, really cool that he's still going to actually travel and not compete, but show up to the Pittsburgh Pro. And he even said in the video he's lost almost 30 pounds just from that process of being in the hospital. And I think this is the type of tenacity that people expect from and would want to see from Mr. Olympia, their champions, as an ambassador for bodybuilding. Obviously, if somebody's really sick and their health is failing, obviously that's a really good excuse not to show up to something you committed to. And obviously, if you're still not healthy, we don't want to see people like push it. But the fact that he just went through that and is still showing up, I think it's really cool. And I think that, you know, guys like Derek, Hadi, Big Ramy, recent Mr. Olympia champions, that's something to look towards as like a benchmark for just a really tenacious pro bodybuilder that wants to represent. So shout out to Mo. If you see him there in Pittsburgh, make sure you say hi and say you appreciate him showing up. Shake his hand, take a picture with him. I just think this is really cool. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, the latest update from Tonio Burton. This update, I think with Tonio too, you can see better separation in his legs than we saw from him at the Arnold Classic South America. That was something he was also criticized for. Honestly, I just love this guy's physique. Like we've talked about, the comparisons to Dexter Jackson, very proportional, very, I don't want to necessarily say aesthetically pleasing, but just a very balanced physique, very symmetrical, very proportional, and just a pleasant physique to look at from a bodybuilding standpoint. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the freakiest guy. He's by no means a mass monster. He comes from 212. But you got to look at this guy's physique and say, that's a nice physique. That's a balanced physique. And even though he's not the biggest, he's got this really 3D look, especially to his delts and his arms. And while we're not going to see him guest pose in Pittsburgh this weekend, we will see him on stage at the New York Pro next weekend. And I guess that's what I want to know from you guys in the comments down below. Of all these guys that are in this New York Pro lineup that we know about so far, and we're probably going to get the official New York Pro competitor list on Monday, so there might be more guys that we don't even know about. But who do you guys think is going to be in that top two? I know probably 99% of you guys would agree that Nick Walker will likely either win the show or be in the top two. But which of these other guys is going to be in that top two with him? And maybe if you disagree too, if you don't think Nick Walker will even be top two, let me know in the comments below. But I think most of you probably think he will be. And I would agree with that. But who will join Nick in that top two at the New York Pro? Let me know in the comments below. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.